They keep going, right. Right. Thank you so much for that. And it's important to note, I see Hannah coming, it's important to note and throw this in there. The prosperity that will come to one who is obedient to God is not going to always look the same. Israel as a nation, God had a specific promise for them that in obedience to his commandments, they were going to prosper in the fruit of the womb, the cattle of the field, and in riches, they were going to be a wealthy nation. But we have to be careful not to take those promises of Israel and apply them to our own lives. To say, oh, all right, if I'm obedient to God, I'm going to be wealthy. No. There's a young man in Scripture who was obedient to God, but bad things kept happening to him. Joseph. The Bible kept saying the Lord was with Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph. But where Joseph end up? Egypt in slavery, and him end up in prison. But Joseph was obedient to God every step of the way, but he prospered. He prospered so much to the point where those he interacted with prospered as well. And it was when God was ready, God gave him material prosperity as well. Now, that's not to say that everybody is going to experience that same thing, but God knows whom he sets down a particular path for a particular purpose. But we want to go through 5 minutes left. Yeah, Amelia, say 10 o'clock, but all right, let's see. So the reasons given here, we're still on Sunday's lesson. The reasons why people experience financial difficulty. One, ignorance. And that's something that I've come across a lot here in Jamaica, financial ignorance. Brethren, financial literacy is more than just knowing that 1 + 1 = 2. And people with the intelligence and who have ulterior or bad motives will use it against you and take advantage of you. Trust me. Trust me. I'd love to do a financial workshop here to kind of teach you some tricks of the trade, given that I work in that sector. Trust me, there are some things that you need to know in order to, one, just the YouTube video. Yes, you did say that. Just do a YouTube video and circulate the link. But no, the things that I've learned and observed, it's important that people are aware of these things so that they not get caught in financial difficulties. Two, the second reason for financial difficulties is greed and selfishness. And that is where I think we need to hang our hat and put the lesson in context. You have to put the lesson in context. There's nothing wrong with a loan. There's nothing wrong with borrowing. It's the why and the with what. Notice I say with what. Are you with me? I use a case in point, an example, credit card. Anybody here have a credit card? On to a couple of individuals have a credit card. A credit card is not extra money. No. And it goes back to number one, the financial illiteracy. Many believe when they get the credit card, they see that credit limit, you get 100,000, 500, 1.5 million, 2 million, and say, yeah, real rich. And they just start spend because they see the credit card as extra money. It's not. Every time that card is swiped, you need to know where the money coming from to pay that card. Are you with me, brethren? You need to know where that money coming from to pay back what you have swiped and borrowed. A credit card is actually a loan. It's an unsecured loan. That means you never give the bank anything and say, all right, if I can't pay, you can take this in its place. You never give that to the bank. Now, because you never gave the bank what is called collateral, that is that thing that you give them in its place, the interest rate on credit cards is high. So that way the bank can compensate for the risk involved. You with me? Right. Credit card interest rates in the 40-odd percent, 40-odd, 50-odd percent, very high. I think the highest one I've seen is up to 60%. Paying interest on a credit card is not normal. I see your eyes, Christine. You with me? Let me just set that there. You know what? I need to arrange a financial workshop where we can talk about these things outside of Sabbath hours, but paying interest on a credit card is not normal. And society wants to normalize it to make you think that, yeah, you're supposed to pay interest rate. People are surprised when they find out that in the last, how long Jody and I have been married? 8 years, roughly. November, 8 years. November is 9 years. We've paid interest on our credit card. We only have one credit card. Twice. 2 times. The first was intentional. The second, because of everything that was happening, we forgot to pay the card on time. 2 times in 8 years, we've paid interest. The other times, none. It's not normal. And another time in another context, I'll explain to you why. No, they don't. They don't. Believe me, they don't. True, they don't. But next. Use it for business? Yes, man. Let me ask this question. Are people who have little means, I don't want to say poor, but that context, are poor individuals the only ones that borrow? No. There are many situations and contexts in which it is best to borrow. It is actually wiser to borrow than to touch your own. Yeah, many situations. So that's why I said the context has to be set that borrowing is not bad in and of itself. I love that the lesson started out on Sunday with these two. Ignorance, not knowing, and greed and selfishness. And the third reason giving is financial difficulties because of personal misfortune. Some people sick, unable to work and everything, they end up in debt. Yes, Brother Sylvan? Right. And Monday's lesson and Monday's lesson points to that. Right. And you get your means and your earns. Exactly. And Monday's lesson points that out in 1 John 2, verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. All that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. When we're in a position to borrow, we have to be careful with what it is that we're going to use that financial space, that they call it, there's a term in government for it, but it's slipping me now. What we're going to use that space with, what we're going to do with that space, what we're going to use and acquire something. Some people will use that freedom. Them see the extra money, them say, oh, all right, I can take out this loan and I can get this and I can get that and so on and so on. And you don't need it. It's not going to, as Brother Sylvan said, allow